Ever found yourself chuckling at a serial killer? No, not in a dark humor kind of way, but genuinely laughing at the sheer awkwardness of it all? Welcome to the world of Dexter Morgan, where unintentional hilarity meets meticulous murder. Let's dive into the moments where Dexter, the meticulous blood-spatter analyst with a penchant for vigilante justice, inadvertently tickles our funny bones. 1. The armadillo scene perfectly captures what makes Dexter unintentionally hilarious. He's a methodical killer who's unfazed by blood, guts, and human dismemberment. But throw a living armadillo into the mix, and suddenly he's flailing around with a broom like a panicked intern. It's that absurd contrast between his deadly precision and his complete lack of normal coping skills that makes the moment so funny. He can dissect a corpse without blinking, but give him a rodent with armor and he short circuits. It's not just slapstick, it's psychological comedy. You're watching a man broken by the one thing he can't control: life. 2. This moment highlights just how badly Dexter misunderstands human connection. He doesn't invite the donut guy to his wedding because he cares about him. He does it because he assumes that's what people do to seem normal. It's not friendship, it's mimicry. What makes it so funny is how seriously he treats it, like inviting a background extra to the most personal day of your life is a rational, calculated step toward appearing socially functional. He debates it internally like it's a security risk. It's awkward, it's clinical, and it perfectly captures Dexter's inability to understand basic human relationships. 3. During an interrogation, a woman accuses Dexter of planning to rape her. Without flinching, he replies, "No one's raping anyone." The tone? Completely flat, no emotion, no defensiveness, no urgency, just mechanical correction. And that's exactly why it lands as unintentionally hilarious. Most people would respond with shock or denial. Dexter responds like someone correcting a typo. It's so out of sync with the seriousness of the accusation that it becomes awkwardly brilliant. You're not laughing at the topic, you're laughing at how wildly unequipped he is to sound human. It's a moment that says everything about who he is without trying to. 4. The teenage flashbacks are meant to add depth to Dexter's origin story, but honestly, that wig steals every scene. It sits on his head like a cheap disguise, instantly undermining any emotional weight the scene tries to carry. Combine that with his flat voice and those overly serious "I'm learning to kill" moments, and you get something unintentionally comedic. It's not that the scenes are poorly written, they're just visually impossible to take seriously. The drama clashes so hard with the costume that it feels like a parody of itself. You're watching formative trauma delivered by a guy in a Party City wig. 5. Lumen lashes out in anger, shouting, "Fuck you!" A moment filled with raw emotion and intensity. And then Dexter responds, confused, "Fuck me?" It's not sarcastic, it's not defensive, it's just literal. The pause, the blank stare, the total lack of emotional context, it turns what should be a charged argument into accidental comedy. His reaction isn't just awkward, it's mechanical, like he's repeating words he doesn't understand. This moment shows how emotionally tone-deaf he really is. It's funny because it's honest. Dexter isn't playing dumb, he genuinely doesn't get it. And that's both tragic and bizarrely hilarious. 6. The interesting handjob observation. At a beachside crime scene, Dexter notices a severed hand positioned in a way that's hard to ignore. His response? Interesting handjob. It's a pun that arrives completely unannounced, delivered with no smirk, no pause, just flat observation. And that's exactly why it lands. The line is ridiculous, but the context makes it work. He's surrounded by police, standing over a mutilated body, and yet somehow finds space for wordplay. The sheer contrast between the grotesque scene and his casual remark creates a moment that's unexpectedly hilarious. It's not the joke itself, it's that Dexter doesn't even realize it's a joke. 7. Dexter wakes up in the trunk of a car, disoriented and on high alert. As the lid opens, he reacts instinctively and punches the first person he sees, Masuka. But instead of a threat, it's his surprise bachelor party. It's a moment of pure fight or flight, and Dexter chooses flight, with fists. The humor isn't just in the punch, it's in how fast he switches from attack mode to polite confusion. Everyone else is celebrating. He's still scanning for enemies. It's a split-second glimpse into how deeply paranoid he is, and how painfully out of place he'll always be in normal life. 8. When Rita starts noticing Dexter's strange behavior, disappearances, lies, emotional distance, he doesn't explain the truth. Instead, he tells her he's a heroin addict, not because it makes sense, but because it's the most socially acceptable explanation he can think of. It's wild when you realize he'd rather be seen as a drug addict than admit who he really is. And the way he delivers it, like he's checking off a box labeled plausible excuse. It's awkward, ill-fitting, and somehow works. Because Rita buys it. Only Dexter could turn a fake drug confession into a successful relationship milestone. 9. Rita is crying, visibly upset, vulnerable and in need of comfort. Dexter, sitting stiffly beside her, does absolutely nothing. No words, no gesture, just a blank stare, like he's analyzing a blood spatter. And then, after several excruciating seconds, he leans in and kisses her neck. Not her cheek, not her forehead, her neck. It's not romantic, it's not soothing, it's deeply confusing. The timing is so wrong, it feels like he Googled how to comfort humans and misread step 1. The moment is funny because it's so off. He's trying to connect, but ends up looking like he's testing a hypothesis. 10. At the ultrasound appointment, Rita beams with joy, while the nurse excitedly points out the baby's heartbeat. Dexter, entirely unprepared for this level of enthusiasm, responds with a painfully flat, "That's... wow." No smile, no warmth, just pure emotional autopilot. The nurse keeps smiling. Rita side-eyes him like she's questioning his humanity, and honestly, so are we. It's one of those moments where Dexter tries to play the part, but his delivery gives him away. He knows what to say, just not how to feel it. It's deadpan comedy at its finest, accidentally funny because he's trying so hard to care. 11. Dexter's bachelor party is everything you'd expect. Loud, drunk, full of energy, except for him. He sits there, motionless, surrounded by chaos, clapping just enough to not raise suspicion. Masuka hires a stripper, the crowd's cheering, and Dexter's expression looks like someone just asked him to explain emotions on live TV. When the stripper asks if he's having fun, he offers a look that says absolutely nothing, because he genuinely has no idea what fun feels like. It's the social equivalent of a system crash. The scene is pure cringe, but unintentionally hilarious because he's trying so hard and failing completely. 12. Rita has just died. A moment where most people would collapse in shock or burst into tears. Dexter, he sits down, opens his laptop, and types, "How to grieve." Not grief support or coping with loss, just the literal phrase, like it's a recipe. It's so clinically detached that it borders on surreal. He doesn't feel lost, he feels uncertain about protocol. The moment is undeniably tragic, but also hilarious in that robotic Dexter-esque way. It's not that he doesn't care, it's that he doesn't know how to perform caring. And in that brutal honesty, he accidentally becomes darkly, uncomfortably funny. 13. Deborah asking Dexter if he's ever been in love. Deborah opens up, completely exposed, asking Dexter one of the most human questions imaginable. Have you ever really loved anyone? He pauses, not to reflect, but because he genuinely doesn't know. And then he answers flatly, "I'm not sure." It's a moment that should be heartbreaking, but it lands with an awkward thud. The silence is louder than the answer. It's funny in that deeply uncomfortable way, like watching someone try to blink for the first time. The tragedy isn't that he can't say yes, it's that he doesn't even understand the question. And somehow that lands harder than any joke. 14. When Harrison cries, Dexter reacts like he's been handed live explosives. He stiffens, holds the baby at arm's length, and stares as if waiting for instructions from mission control. The crying isn't just inconvenient, it's genuinely confusing to him. At one point, he mutters, "Please stop," it's disorienting, as if he's talking to a hostage negotiator. It's unintentionally hilarious because it reveals just how disconnected he is from everyday human experiences. Changing a diaper feels more threatening than stalking a serial killer. It's not the baby that's overwhelming, it's the expectation to respond like a father. And that's where the comedy hits. 15. This is supposed to be Dexter's big emotional breakthrough. He stands up at Narcotics Anonymous, the room silent, expectant. Then comes the line, "I'm Dexter, and I'm not sure what I am." On paper, soul-searching. In execution, pure cringe. The delivery is so flat, so dramatically vague, that half the room looks genuinely concerned he's on something stronger than heroin. The irony? He thinks he's having a human moment. Everyone else thinks he's either lost or auditioning for a philosophy podcast. It's unintentionally hilarious because Dexter's emotional compass is so broken, even his deepest confession sounds like a software update error.
16?
One of the most unexpectedly funny moments in the entire show happens when Dexter has Speltzer on the table. Instead of staying cold and calculated like usual, he suddenly starts mocking him, flailing his arms, mimicking his rage, completely deadpan. It's so weirdly theatrical that it feels like Dexter's auditioning for amateur improv night. And because he stays totally emotionless while doing it, the contrast is hilarious. Speltzer, who was once terrifying, now just looks confused. It's one of those rare moments where Dexter breaks character in the most bizarre way possible, and somehow it's absolutely hilarious without even trying. Dexter Morgan might be a serial killer, but he's also an unintentional comedian. His deadpan delivery, social awkwardness, and bizarre situations create moments of levity in an otherwise dark series. So, next time you watch Dexter, keep an eye out for these unintentionally hilarious gems. You might find yourself laughing more than you expected. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.